Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking one of the absolute most fascinating business paradoxes out there. We're talking about how a company pulls in massive, just astronomical financial success. And get this, they do it by actively refusing to sell their best stuff to millionaires. It's literally a masterclass in the economics of scarcity, and I am so pumped to dive into this with you.
Ferrari will always deliver one car less than the market demand. That right there is the founder's golden rule. Enzo Ferrari figured out really early on that desire is just way more valuable than volume. And it's not just history. Current CEO Benedetto Vigna actually confirmed at a recent investor day that this exact quote is still the company's North Star. It's a rule they swear they're never going to break. So let's put this into a real-world hypothetical just to see how crazy this really is. Imagine you just hit the jackpot. You've got $2 million, cold hard cash, sitting in the bank. You see the brand new Ferrari F80 hypercar tearing up the track online, and you think, you know what? I'm going to go buy that. Well, I hate to break it to you, but you can't. You literally can't just stroll into a dealership in Maranello, or anywhere else for that matter, drop a briefcase of cash on the desk, and order their newest Halo car. Money alone, it just doesn't buy you access.
Section 1. The Ultimate VIP Ladder. Decoding the Allocation System.
Okay, so to get that highly coveted allocation, you have to survive this grueling, super secretive journey. There is no public waitlist here. You're tracked on their internal system. Step 1, you gotta become an active customer. And no, you can't just buy a brand new standard Ferrari right off the bat. You actually have to buy used models from authorized dealers and service them religiously just to prove you belong. Then, step 2, you become a VIP. Now you're buying pretty much every car in the current lineup. We're talking dropping $2 to $3 million, and you're flying out to Italy to pay for high-end, bespoke customizations at their atelier. Finally, step 3, you have Halo customer status, which puts you in the top 1,000 global clients. But even getting to this point requires something insanely specific.
Here's the kicker. To actually get a Halo allocation today, you essentially need what's known as the Big 5 legacy hypercars sitting in your garage. We're talking the 288 GTO, the F40, the F50, the Enzo, and the LaFerrari. Oh, and you also need their limited edition Icona series models. Plus, they want you to race. They look for active participation in their Corse Clienti racing series. Getting to this tier takes years of absolute, unquestioning brand loyalty. You can never flip a car for quick cash, and you're realistically spending anywhere from $15 to $20 million just building up this legacy collection. If you somehow manage to pull all that off, you might just get to experience what owners call the key in the box. Now, Ferrari doesn't just shoot you a quick email saying, hey, go configure your multi-million-dollar hypercar. No way. Instead, a heavy, completely unannounced box just shows up in the mail. You open it, and inside, with almost zero explanation, is a physical presentation key. It's this quiet, incredibly cinematic way of confirming that after all those years of loyalty, all the racing, and all those eye-watering invoices, you've finally leveled up. You've been chosen.
Section 2. The economics of scarcity. Margin over volume.
Let's look at a stark contrast to really drive this home. Take a fantastic mass-market premium brand like Volvo, which is totally volume-driven, and compare it to the hyper-exclusive, scarcity-driven model of Ferrari. Both are wildly successful, right? But the engines driving their profits, completely different animals. Check out these numbers from 2023. Volvo sold a massive 709,000 vehicles. That brought in over 35 billion euros in revenue. Ferrari, on the flip side, shipped just 13,700 cars, bringing in roughly 6 billion euros. But look at the bottom line here. Even though Volvo sold about 52 times as many cars and generated nearly 6 times the revenue, their operating income is astonishingly identical. We're talking 1.8 billion for Volvo and 1.6 billion for Ferrari. It's just wild. And that brings us to this massive number right here, 27%. That is Ferrari's staggering operating margin. To really put that into perspective for you, the median operating margin for the entire automotive industry is just 7.7%. Ferrari is operating in a completely different financial universe. They aren't playing the volume game at all. They use this less is more approach that gives them absolute, unmatched pricing power. Which is exactly why analysts don't benchmark Ferrari against other car makers like Porsche. They actually compare them to luxury fashion houses like Hermes, the makers of the ultra-exclusive Birkin bag, because both of them are in the business of preserving desire. If you just need to get from point A to point B, literally anyone will sell you a car. But Ferrari, they're selling you a dream, an invitation into their legendary racing heritage.
Everything you can just go buy, the entry-level cars, the hats, the jackets, that all pays for the aura of the things you absolutely can't buy. Because desire, unlike mass production, actually appreciates over time. Section 3. Protecting the dream, the enforcers and the rules. So this intense laser focus on brand equity leads to a pretty surprising question. Why on earth would you sue your own highest-paying customers? I mean, it seems totally backwards to attack the millionaires and billionaires who are buying your products, right? But in Ferrari's eyes, the second you buy their car, you aren't really the absolute owner. You're a custodian of their legacy. And let me tell you, if you disrespect that legacy, they will absolutely come after you. They enforce some bizarrely strict rules of ownership. Enzo Ferrari himself basically laid down the law. You can paint your car any color you want, except pink, rose, or salmon. Those are out. You absolutely cannot cover up or alter the Ferrari badges. Unauthorized aftermarket body wraps, huge red flag. Unapproved engine modifications are strictly forbidden. And you have to get your maintenance done at their authorized dealers. If you cross these lines, it's not just a slap on the wrist. You'll find yourself on a blacklist or straight up in court. And it doesn't matter how famous you are. Take Justin Bieber. He wrapped his car neon blue, messed with the badges, and boom, he's blacklisted from buying new Ferraris. Fashion designer Philip Plain sued for over $350,000 just for using his own personal Ferrari as a prop in a fashion show. The company claimed he unlawfully appropriated their goodwill. And then there's deadmau5. He wrapped his 458 Spider in this wild psychedelic cat theme, slapped custom badges on it, and called it the Ferrari. Ferrari hit him with a cease and desist so incredibly fast, he had to peel the wrap off and sell the car. So yeah, immense wealth definitely does not excuse you from Maranello's rules. Section 4. The EV transition strategy, an existential threat. Now, Ferrari is staring down a pretty monumental challenge right now. How do you transition a brand whose entire identity is built around the screaming roar of a V12 engine into the quiet electric era? Well, forced by the EU's 2035 bans, they're leaning into a strategy that experts are calling green scarcity. This means they aren't just doing the bare minimum to comply with environmental regulations. They're actually turning carbon neutrality into a core part of their exclusivity. They're making sustainability the new luxury flex, all while making sure that going green doesn't compromise their extreme performance or that iconic artistic aesthetic. We're already seeing this take shape in the specs for their highly anticipated 2025 electric hypercar. They're keeping the volume aggressively low. We're talking less than 500 units produced annually. They're pulling tech straight from Formula One for this carbon fiber battery integration, which keeps the car super light, under 1.5 tons, while still hitting over 600-kilometer range. And the genius part? They're pricing it 20% higher than their traditional combustion models. They are deliberately making the EV their most elusive, ultimate prize.
But they're also flexing their power way behind the scenes. Ferrari is setting up this zero-carbon tech alliance. The goal is to force 75% of their core suppliers to hit strict ISO 14064 environmental certifications by 2026. Because Ferrari relies on these super niche, specialized suppliers, they basically have the leverage to force their entire supply chain to adopt green manufacturing. And that dramatically slashes their Scope 3 emissions, which is the carbon footprint of everything they touch.
And this next move just brilliantly highlights their business genius, the 5% carbon neutral premium. Basically, they plan to offer an options package where customers pay an extra 5% just to offset the carbon footprint of the car and get these bespoke eco-friendly interiors. This is so smart because not only does it boost Ferrari's ESG ratings from a BBB to an expected A by 2027, which makes borrowing money cheaper for them, but it actually increases their already sky-high profit margins. They are literally selling environmental responsibility as a highly exclusive luxury upgrade. Which naturally brings us to one final looming question as we look toward the great wealth transfer. We're talking about trillions of dollars being handed down to a generation that grew up on instant gratification and same-day delivery. So is the next generation of young billionaires actually going to be willing to wait in line for decades? Will they really buy cars they don't even necessarily want, just for the chance to eventually be chosen for a Ferrari Halo car? Well, the evidence says yes, absolutely. I mean, we already see young people camping out on sidewalks for sneaker drops and turning the endless waitlist for luxury watches into TikTok content. Ferrari isn't even trying to meet this new generation's expectations for instant access. Instead, by fiercely prioritizing their existing loyal owners and strictly enforcing their rules, Ferrari is the one setting the expectations. They've built this incredibly powerful machine that turns desire itself into an inheritance. And that is exactly why they're going to keep making billions, simply by saying no. So it leaves us with this thought. As the whole world pushes toward instant access for everything, will true luxury soon be defined entirely by what we are denied? Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. I really hope it gave you a fresh perspective on how the economics of luxury actually work.